Dave, what's going on, buddy?
Not a ton. In that quote from John Butler, it is humorous to me because most fans identify way more of a coach who can't remain flatlined. But it's so much better for a coach or a coordinator to remain flatlined and even keeled and roll with the punches or whatever cliche that you want. But it is such a contradictory thing for a fan base because what people seem to love is the passion, even though it's clearly there for these coaches. You don't do that as a profession. You don't give away 20 hours of your life every day, 360 days a year, if you aren't passionate about it. But it's like they need to see it on game day to believe it. So the push-pull of John Butler's quote kind of brings a smile to my face. That's how my day's going. That's what I'm thinking about here, a couple days away from game day.
Hey, it's funny. A guy that probably gets 20,000 steps a day, 13,000 of them happen at practice because he's pacing. So for him to he stays on the gas. So for him, I think that's an internal battle that he's really, really cognizant of, Mike J, because much like the fans probably think when you talk about that dichotomy, he revs pretty high in nature. He's constantly coaching. Game days will be interesting for me to just even watch.
It's fun for me because you can see it lurking beneath the surface in the media setting. Like there's a certain question that you can see will get a certain response or a quick response, or he'll kind of seize on it and then he'll want to expound. And then in the middle of the answer, he'll realize hey, I got to pull back a little bit. And so then the back half of the answer will maybe flatten out a little bit, or he'll I can't remember what the question was the other day, but he just cut it off halfway through because he's I don't need to hear the rest of this. I'm killing this right now. We're moving on from it as quickly as we can. I have enjoyed effective John Butler. We'll see how it goes with him as the defensive coordinator, calling things and everything else. I think he's a fascinating person for a variety of reasons. I think he, to say he runs hot is probably a bit of an understatement. And I'm excited to see what it all looks like. I'm excited to hear him kind of walk through games on Tuesday while also having to talk through the preparation of the next game. I think he's just a really, really interesting guy. I could see why he would connect with a Matt Rhule, in that interview setting or whatever it was back in June of 2024. So I am very intrigued by everything defense related this season.
Man, Schaefer, you get smarter by the second. I used to give Ravi credit, but sometimes he's the beneficiary of listening to phone calls where I have it on speaker. And so he I have to remember that.
Way to just cut the guy's knees off right now.
Yeah, or where he's privy to stuff, and so he's of course very smart. But when I listen to you about some of these things that you're captivated by, I think it's funny as I take a subtle pot shot at my partner, but I love him. I do think he gave an answer yesterday, and I was so fired up, Mike J. I spent how many minutes talking about it in the opening segment?
Oh, yeah, good minute there.
Probably 40.
Schaefer,
I apologize for talking so much. I'm not kidding you. But he said, and this is on the heels of, all these questions, can Nebraska stop the run? And they're not big enough. And there were only 10 black shirts. And is the 11th going to a D lineman? And all these offseason questions. And he told you everything. Shane, do you have, is there anybody chance that Mike J can listen to this as I'm walking him through this? He told us, Schaefer, I think everything we need to know, and you can even expound on how high he revs and where you think he was originally going with this question that simply started about how they want to play as a defense. Shane, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Mike J, take a listen.
All I want the front to show is they got to get off the ball. I'm talking about freaking get off the ball and create a new line of scrimmage, either whether it's their get off or their movement. So we want them living in the other team's backfield from an effort standpoint. And then obviously from a physicality standpoint, the physicality of your defense is established by your front, whether it's a front four or front five. Are they knocking the offensive line back? Are they creating a new line of scrimmage? Are they being disruptive? Are they allowing your back seven, your linebackers, and your safeties in the run fit to overlap and make plays on the ball? If they're doing that, then we're playing defense the way we want to play. If they're not doing that, then we're going to have to make some adjustments with how they're playing, but also maybe how we're calling the game. So,
right then and there, right? How we want to play. This is the directive. If it's not, I'll see it. And it could either be my personnel or it could be me. But either way, we'll be ready. Like, I felt like that was one of the greatest press conference answers that I had heard all year.
And if you go a little bit further, he finishes with, and this is like the kicker of the article I wrote on John Butler yesterday, and just sort of the three things that stood out. And he finishes that with, the defensive line is the heart and soul of our defense, or of a defense. And so you can tell, like, again, over there, they have privy to having watched practice in the spring and watching these guys in the summer and fall camp and know what they're going to get from them. At least they have an idea of what they're going to get from them. While everybody else is, they don't have Ty Robinson. They don't have Nash Hutmaker. They don't have MJ Sherman. And so I think there is just like this attitude, like, you'll see. And we'll see on Thursday. And they're going to get attached with a couple guys running the football that they may not see a lot in the Big Ten with Brendan Swordsby, or even just kind of the way that an Evan Pryor and they faced Tawi Walker last year. But he so badly wants to show everyone on Thursday what they've been doing over the summer. It's coming out of his voice when he's answering that question. And the question was something like, hey, what are you hoping to see from your pass rush, or something like that?
Lockstep. Shake, you said it a lot more succinctly and quickly than I spent 40 minutes pissed about I'm like, it's not like the way Nebraska wants to play defense to stop the run is sneaking up on Butler or Snow or Simpson or any Dvorak. Like, they know how they want to defend the run, right? Now we'll see if it works or not, but it's not like they didn't know what they were having to replace.
Yeah, and like I said, I think you can tell the excitement that they have for this team because they so badly want us to see it. And you hear that in some of the answers from some of the different coaches. And some of that is just they're at the end of camp. They're at the beginning of the season. It's time to get this thing rolling. It's time to get into the routine of game week. It's time to hit somebody that isn't on your other team. It was kind of a obvious answer, but Dylan Raiola even just saying the defense is ready to hit somebody that's not wearing a green jersey. I mean, so it's time. Like, that's just sort of what it feels like. We've got a couple more days here, but I think everybody in that operation over there feels good about what they put together, and now it's time to go prove it against somebody else.
Okay, Schaefer, I'm going to do that thing where I ask you a bunch of questions that aren't directly related to what I want you to answer, but I'm going to try and walk you there. So we think the offensive line is pretty good, right?
Yeah,
if there's one unit on
this offensive line. Yeah, I mean, there's more confidence in this offensive line than there probably has been in a while.
And probably more so than any other individual unit on the team. Is that fair?
Ooh, this is where I struggle with that. I don't know if I have more confidence.
Okay.
When we say that, though, like, I don't know that I have more confidence in the offensive line than I do Dylan Raiola.
Okay, I'm glad you bring up Dylan Raiola. You did my work for me. You walked me right to it. I appreciate this. I appreciate we're going on this stroll together. So if the two that we're talking about with the most confidence in are the quarterback Dylan Raiola and the offensive line, I think we all have some level of confidence in the receivers. I know we feel a little burned about what happened last year, right? But I think we like the wide receiver core again as well. Yes?
Yeah, I'm willing to get hurt again. I bought all the way in on the receiver.
Love the Michael Scott reference. So we've got receivers that we like, quarterback that we like, offensive line that we like. I think we like at least one of the running backs, maybe more. Fair?
There's options.
So that's a pretty good offensive unit, right? Just overall, we think,
the expectation is that this should be a good offensive unit.
With Dana Holgorsen, a very good offensive coordinator as their coach, right?
Yes.
So if that's who the defense is facing every day, right? This isn't 2 years ago where you got Jeff Sims and maybe Heinrich Harburg or whatever. If that's what the defense is facing every day, especially the defensive front that's going one-on-one with maybe the best unit on the team. And they are I assume since we're aware of this, the coaches are aware of this, and they're still confident in what that defense looks like, then what exactly are we worried about?
Because we haven't seen it. And
yeah.
Nebraska hasn't had a good season in 8 years.
Yep.
I understand where you're going with it, but
I also understand your answer too, Schaefer, because everybody
there's the disconnect though, right? Because if I walk through it logically,
but Schaefer is way more in the majority because I think he's right.
But if I walk through it logically, it's like, oh yeah, we should expect this to be a good defense. But I get the Schaefer thing too as a fan, where you're like, yeah, but when's the last time both units of the team were good at the same time?
But Schaefer, that's not even a fan answer though. Like you're just answering that from like a rack. I don't necessarily listen to Mike J and think fan. I think that's how natural is that.
I think it's
that's good. I would prefer that.
I think it's the scar tissue.
I don't know, man.
I think it's the scar tissue.
I don't know. I think that's just.
Why can't it be sort of both though?
That's fine.
There's a fair amount of assumptions that have to get made, even if I believe in, and I do, that I believe in Dylan Raiola. I believe in Nebraska's offensive line. I believe in the wide receivers. I still need to see it happen.
Sure.
Like I still need to see it play out as I expect. I still need to see the Dana Holgorsen, Matt Rhule thing sort of work over the course of the season and not at the end of a season, and really only had worked in one game. And that's no fault of theirs. It was again, of the things that don't get discussed about 2024, they replaced their offensive coordinator with a guy off the street, so to speak, with 4 games left. Like, no one does this.
That's insane. It's insane.
Like, no one does this. And so then what happens is people like me say, well, that offense, it didn't look that good because they replaced their offensive coordinator with a guy off the street who wasn't in the program. So, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I reference the Wisconsin game a lot because I think that was when you got to see the different ways that Dana Holgorsen will look at a defense. Mm-hmm. And Luke Fickell, for all the faults that he might have as Wisconsin's head coach right now and running a program and bringing in Phil Longo into the Big Ten and whatever else.
Good defensive coordinator.
He knows how to coach defense.
Yeah.
And he knows how to put you in a box. And Dana Holgorsen absolutely smashed him that night. Like, Nebraska could have had more points. They could have had more yards. We got to see all sorts of different wrinkles that I think we're going to see a lot of this year. That's why I referenced that. The Iowa game being what it was, the USC game being as new as it was, Boston College being as weird as it was, the weather didn't help, the setting didn't help, the fact that you sort of were adding in some pieces that hadn't played that year a whole lot didn't help. I think the Wisconsin game, and obviously I'm picking the one that went the best, but if you're looking for the upside of what this offense is, that game is your evidence. Now, we need to see, can they consistently do that? We need to see what it sort of looks like when things aren't going right for them. Can they get out of a slump? Can they go 2 drives in a row where they don't score, and then Dana Holgorsen and Dylan Raiola and everyone else has the right answers to put this in the right direction? Do we know what it looks like for Emmett Johnson across 12 games? We don't. Do we know that these wide receivers that we assume coming in from Cal and from Kentucky are going to be better in one-on-one coverage or press coverage in the way that they weren't last year? I think Ja'Cory Barney is sort of, it's weird. He's not slept on because he gets talked a lot about, but we don't really know what the best case scenario is for a guy who got to play wide receiver exclusively for the first time in his career. There's a lot of reasons to be excited about this team. I also think you kind of need to see more of it before you can just go, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they start off fast in this game against Kansas City, against Kansas City, they're playing the Chiefs now. In this game against
hey, don't even intimate that to Coach Butler, boy. I think that's where he started. The surliness crept in. Hey, how about Arrowhead Stadium? He's like, hey, how about it?
If they start this game fast against Cincinnati, my expectation is they need to be able to sustain that and just continue to go with it. So I think a lot of it is people want to believe. People are more than willing to be led to the water, and some people are just, lapping it up, and others are like, hey, let's get this thing down the road a little bit, and then I'm gonna partake. But I totally understand any hesitancy. I mean, how many times has there been enthusiasm going into a season only for it to fall flat on its face? So I get why a fan base that has basically been the equivalent of the boy who cried wolf would not necessarily come running right now.
Hey, you know what's interesting about that is it is so important for the player. We would be up in arms if the players inherited that burden.
Mm-hmm.
We just want them to kind of stay in the moment, but man, the fans, it's like hey, we're allowed to because we're traumatized.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, right. That's the whole key, right?
Well,
for
it's
them
not their
to
baggage to take
it's
on.
that's the whole key for this team, right? It's that's what he was trying
That's
to
why
say
making a
for the
bowl
first
game
2
last year
years, right?
wasn't
It's like that's
the point.
not their burden to bear for these young guys. I'm not bailing them out. You need to learn how to work through tough things.
And I think they have the right, from a psychological standpoint, to work through that stuff. And so I think that matters too, because you could have a head coach who just simply isn't aware or doesn't care about that aspect of things. And I don't think that's Matt Rhule. I think he's acutely aware about everything that's going on here. And so he would address it head on instead of ignoring it. And I'm sure they've had conversations about this to some level, that what happened before doesn't define who you will be. That's the mantra that I think they have to take.
It's my I say that all the time, right? I mean, just because it has been doesn't mean it always will be. And I also love the fact, Shape, that Rhule's the type of guy, man, that, you know, it was funny that Buford referenced Rhule getting it put on him, you know, in a little personal challenge. And, you know, Singleton was like, man, I can't believe you put Coach Rhule out there like that. And Buford was like, hey, man, he was willing to get his tail kicked. I'm listening to these guys sit and chop it up like they're at the barbershop. And that's all I've ever said about Coach Rhule, about why I like him, right? If you could knock out a couple of teeth, but you're going to have to get them all. He may not be able to beat Will Compton in, you know, a race up the ramp, but he's going to race you. He may not be able to outshoot you on the basketball court or pickleball, but he's going to compete against you. Like, I just think sometimes we say cute things like no fear of failure, but to actually go through it, address it, talk about it openly, sometimes being tough is just the willingness to get your ass kicked. And most of us aren't willing to do that. He is, which is why I'm hoping it's his personality that they really take on. For all the euphemism, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, what do you think it tells those players that he, even though he knows he might not be successful in a situation, is still willing to go through it, to fight through it?
I think it's monumental. Like what did Buford say after Singleton called him on, you know, putting him out there? He's like, oh man, he was willing to try. Like, I mean, what do you mean? He was going to kill mat drills. Like, I just like the fact that that's what they think about him, because that's really modeled behavior. We say all sorts of little cute stuff that goes on T-shirts, but like getting under a bench rack and trying to bench 315 and knowing you may fail, like, just how many guys are going to get there as a coach and say, you know what? I'm not getting under there. Like, I'm not doing that.
275. 275 looks good too, huh?
But
275.
He just, I don't know, man. I just think being the CEO, that's the most important aspect of this year, is they get a chance to get all of his personality because he trusts his coordinators.
I'm sorry, you got my brain spinning over here when you're talking about the cute thing. And now I'm thinking, like, sometime in the off season we need to put together a bracket of all the dumb things that have come out of North Stadium in the last 20 years or whatever they are, and just, you know, let fans vote for which one was the worst. Would it be our red burns brighter? Would it be
burn the boats?
and a helmet? Well, burn the boats is universally used. But I'm trying to think of like specific Nebraska ones.
Point the finger, not the thumb.
I can't remember which coach. Yeah, no, that's a very specific though. One current coach.
Sloganeering. What? There's a lot.
So
there was a lot.
No, I who used hell in a helmet? Nebraska wants to be hell in a helmet. It was an offensive line. Was it Greg Austin who said that?
I don't. Oh boy, interesting. Maybe.
And you got Tim Beck was all about the speed kills for the longest time. I think they made shirts for that. We could throw whiteouts in there too. Put a little gorilla symbol next to it.
What about Calabrasca?
Well, I think that's going to be the universal winner, so I think you have to leave that one out. Or, no, if you do that one, you have to put next to it in parentheses, it's a movement.
What about, so are we cool with Flowbraska? Are we cool with that?
Listen, you guys are killing me, man. It kind of angers me a little bit. I'm laughing it off because we're having fun, but the gimmick, like that kind of stuff, that's why I'd rather see a guy fail trying to bench 315, right? Or go wrestle a player.
It kind of cuts to, like, the teeth of what this whole thing has been when it hasn't been successful. Like, you can keep trying to rebrand yourself, but at the end of the day, you got to show up between the lines and win there. Like, winning in marketing and winning in branding is nice. And Matt Rhule knows this. And I think he knows why this is such a critical season. Not just for, his job security, which I doubt he thinks about it, we might think, but also just the health and the future of this program.
Yep.
Like, go show people that you can win, and everything else that you've been building is already in place.
It's just natural.
You go show people that you're a good team for 60 minutes on a football field, then it becomes a lot easier for everything else to look as good as it does to some of us who are like, man, Sunday through Friday, this is a program. People want it on Saturday. They play on Thursday this week, and they play 2 games on Friday. But go with the analogy. So it's basically Nebraska is trying to, like, cash in on marketing and branding and the fan base and the experience, and it's different here. Go win on the field. Like, football happens on the field. It doesn't happen anywhere else. It takes all the other stuff that matters what you do in the off season, but for 60 minutes every week, that's where it matters, and that's where Nebraska needs to be at their best. And I think Matt Rhule knows that, and he needs this team to kind of put that together, because they could be a rocket ship if they do.
I should not reprint the Restore the Order shirts. I shouldn't do that.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
I think I still have that one 2 moves ago. And then I needed to clean my grill. And they gave that away for student tickets in 2008. And that was the last time I had student tickets. And I used that to clean my grill in, like, 2019. And then it was just gone ever since.
Schaefer, let me ask you something about on the heels of John Bullock, who I think you can safely say that damn DB was president of his fan club, right? Like, before it was in vogue.
As long as I get to be sergeant at arms in that fan club.
But we were in lockstep, and this was early. I want to go all the way back to, remember the first couple of press conferences with Dvorak and Coach Rhule, and Reimer came.
23?
Yeah, Reimer came fresh off of, being a walk-on, and him maybe playing a role. They talked about bringing this Bullock guy, moving him from safeties to, the linebacking core and inheriting that. And then he kind of goes into it. He's a backup, and then he's a key backup. He's a starter, and then a key starter, right? I mean, what bigger testament? And a lot of it is Bullock, right? Don't get me wrong. He kicked our tail in high school. He was ultra competitive. I felt like he was a significantly better athlete than the free world gave him credit for. I said in the offseason, he's the guy that Nebraska would have the hardest time replacing. So I get all of that about his ability. But just Nebraska in terms of their development and belief in what they see and can go make happen, right? Like, that, he's got to be an ideal case study, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it should give people who looked at the depth chart last week and they see Rover and they see Rex Guthrie, and they're like, huh. I mean, he was part of the recruiting class, but, how many people actually thought about him that much? And, of course, he got hurt, and so he had to come back from an injury. Like, I think that we talked about this. Matt Rhule is really, really good at identifying football players and projecting forward what kind of athletes they could be. And so I think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that when you see something like that, it should make you go, huh, and then circle the name and then double back to it. And when he gets into the game, watch him play and see how it all goes. Like, I don't think they make a lot of mistakes in that regard. I think they genuinely have a very good eye for who it is that they want on a football field. And when someone like that pops up, when a Jordan Ochoa goes from, you know, kind of a story that a handful of people knew to when he's at open practice and he's just whipping Nebraska's offensive line and he's big and he's strong. And then this is a John Butler answer because he hates talking about individual players. But I asked him about Ochoa and he can't help himself talking about how he didn't really know who he was, but he liked the way that he ran. So they just found a spot to put him in the game. Like, this is Nebraska's staff. This is what they're good at. And John Bullock is the 2-year sort of answer to that. But there's guys on the depth chart right now that represent, like, hey, there's something more than just whatever their star ranking was or what their NIL package is or what school they came from previously. These guys know football. And this isn't me trying to say, hey, trust everything they ever do. It's just saying there's a reason that Rex Kukri is there and other guys who were recruited from the Northeast or from the Southeast or from wherever else and were well known or far more known or came in on the transfer portal aren't. And I think it's notable. And I think you're going to see why the further we get into the season.
Schaefer, I didn't. His mom did. I'm very familiar with what you're describing. You realize that, right?
Knowing talent?
No. Having a guy that I think is having a guy that's part of that discussion back there on the back end, right? Like
I am aware that your son is on the football team.
So it's but when you're saying this, and this is one of those, I joked with Ravi earlier, but he does get to hear a lot of the conversations, and I'm telling you, what you're describing is why and they're really good friends, and so that helps. I'm still a little mad at Guthrie because Caleb had the option to pick 21, and he let Rex have it, which is totally not. I mean, it's fine. But when they talk about stuff like that all the time, because when they left, you have to remember this, Mike J., where I'm going with this. When we saw the secondary play last year and Coach Cooper was left or however that went, and he had stockpiled all these DBs. And wasn't there a stretch, or am I misremembering, that we questioned what he left in the cupboard? Was that not a thing when we saw the older guys come back out?
I don't know that it was a.
The Weber, like there's a lot of guys, the Amari Sanders, the Webers, the Charles, where it's like, well, why are we going to the portal and why do we have so many guys? And it's just like, hang on, it takes a little time. It just takes a little time.
Well, and to that end, I like Phil Snow, Matt Rhule wants to bring back to work with those guys because Phil Snow is going to quickly identify this is what Matt Rhule wants. This is what Matt Rhule doesn't want. This guy can play. This guy's going to need more time. Like, I mean, he was tell me if I'm wrong here, but he's kind of the one that sort of expedites the process of, yeah, we want to keep this guy around, or, if he goes into the portal, I think we're going to be okay. I think that was Phil Snow's role with a lot of the young defensive players, particularly with what felt like a bloated defensive back room in the spring. Yeah. I mean, that's what he was doing when we were at open practices. He wasn't working with Marquise Buford or Malcolm Hartzog or Deshaun Singleton. He was working with Evan Taylor, with, all these other young guys, because he's trying to figure out what they have and then quickly be able to identify, and hopefully correctly, this is who we want to keep around. This is where we're going to keep an eye on. This is a guy that I think we can go ahead and
what's the difference between Braylon Prude and Justin Rhett? You know what I mean? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's what he's there. He's identifying your talent while they're practicing, and he's doing it because he's the guy that's most closely linked to knowing what Matt Rhule wants out of his defense. That was Phil's role to me in the spring.
Mike Schaefer, as we, I believe, I mean, I know this is the last time we're going to talk to
This
you.
is like 3 good ones. Schaefer, I mean, you're definitely not chopped liver, but I feel like some land a little differently with me. You're trending in the right direction.
We're talking about the secondary and your kids involved. Of course you're interested. It's not like this is.
It's not
we
really.
don't have to make it
Well,
seem like
well, it's not like. Well, in my defense, I'm the one that brought him up, so no, that's not what it is. I'm talking about your answers about. You know what, Schaefer? I take everything back I just said. Like, forget it. You just fell flat on your face. No, it's like
I want you to feel good about things.
Yeah, well, apparently not, because I was going to go back to your breaking down John Butler, but I mean, you had to get in your little comment. It's fine.
Schaefer, before we let you go here, it is our last conversation before the season
really?
starts.
Wow, Schaefer.
Can I get a win total out of you?
Okay, so you guys know I've been pretty. On other message boards, I've been referred to as an Eeyore, as if I didn't predict 9-3 last year and was shoveling the Kool-Aid down the throats of every preseason radio interview that I did. And then I came in this year a little bit hesitant. I was at 7-5. I think I moved to 8-4. I think I finally did it. I'm up a full win, which is still probably less than other people, I'm sure. But I think they're gonna. This is a weird answer. I think they're more likely to go 7-5 or like 9-3 than they are 8-4. Does that make sense? But I'm still gonna say 8-4. I don't know how else to explain this. Like, I think it's either going to break out in a good way or some of the same problems are going to mire them and they're going to finish 7-5 with a very winnable schedule.
So if they've got,
I have no other way to.
If they've got enough issues to lose 4, you think they lose 5, basically?
Yeah, effectively. Like I just.
But if those are if they don't have enough issues to lose 4, then they'll probably win 9.
Basically summed up probably most succinctly. If it works, it's going to work really well.
Mm.
If it doesn't work, they're not going to be able to just get out of situations with wins. They're gonna give a few games away.
All right, so Debbie.
So I'm saying 8-4 as an average.
Okay. Okay.
I believe in the talent on this team. I need to see them do it on game days before I can sit here and go back to 9-3 again.
That's our guy. Debbie Downer, Eeyore, Mike Schaefer at 8-4. Schaefer.
Well, he certainly.
I'm sorry.
You certainly doused my fire, but it was long before the prediction. So I guess I'm back to riding with Ravi now.
I would love to have my ego boosted yet again.
Yeah.
So,
well,
that'd be great. I'm sorry.
There's always Ravi.
I apologize.
We'll try again next week. Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
See you guys.